Hello everyone, I'm Kyle Cherrick and I am here for the Madison College Chef Demo Series with not chef, my friend, Caitlin Cullen of the Tandem. The series is presented by Volrath. We are going to cook some fried chicken, which is the cornerstone. You are going to cook, I'm going to assist.
I know.
The cornerstone of your recipe at the Tandem. But is it even served anymore now that you're doing community meals in the midst of this pandemic?
So every now and then we'll do some fried chicken for a community meal, but people do ask if they can buy it, and I'm like, that's not the point of the free community meal. So no, you can't have this chicken. Like, please leave it for somebody else. But in the winter now that we're gonna stay closed and operate as like a service organization, we're going to be popping up all over Milwaukee. So literally in 3 days, I'm going to be at Amalinda, which is where my first pop-up was in the first place. And we are going to sell chicken at a really insane margin to help raise funds for restaurants that are struggling.
Meaning costs more, money goes to the right thing.
Yeah, I'm charging you like $50.
I'm down with that.
For a chicken. It's insane. But so every restaurant that we go to gets to keep all the profits. So we sell tickets. Amalinda is going to take a couple $1,000 home, help pay some of their bills, and then we'll go on to the next place.
So all the years in food that I have, 12 years in with a show with broadcast, lots of farm to table, lots of fancy dinners, lots of everything in between, lots of road food, lots of cart food, lots of everything. I am an aficionado of two things in the American culinary tradition. Two, chocolate chip cookies and fried chicken.
Those are really good things.
They are really good things, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also, if you open my arteries, when I really enjoy those over a period of time, it's something close to like foie gras of plaque. Anyway.
At least you get to move around.
No, totally. But within that wide searching of great fried chicken, I came back to Milwaukee, and your fried chicken was on my top 3 list. Yeah.
I never knew that.
I think you're
gassing me up for TV.
I am not. I'm telling you the truth. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I looked around for fried chicken my whole life not knowing that's what I was doing. Like, I would go, anytime I traveled someplace, especially the further south I'd get, it was BLTs and fried chicken, and I thought that was the true indicator of how a kitchen was performing.
It's true.
And so I luckily accidentally did a bunch of research.
It's a very French thing in the grand restaurants of France. Like if you go to Lyon or you go, when you order the chicken, like if the chef nails that, then that's what chefs order. Because they're like, okay, if you get the roast chicken,
then you nailed it.
Then everything else you're good. I don't need to have that.
Attention to detail.
Yeah.
If you Google fried chicken recipe, they're all the same. Because there's only like 8 ingredients that can go into fried chicken. No, I mean literally there's only so much bobbing and weaving you can do.
Yeah.
And so it really is about like the little stuff you do to make it different.
Yeah.
That little stuff to
At the Tandem, you have 3 different flavorings.
Yep.
Yeah. Remind me.
So we've got the Georgia fried, which is what we're going to make today. That's, I think, our most popular. It's just like a traditional fried chicken. Yeah. It's my favorite as well. Then we do a version of a Nashville hot seasoning on top of that.
That's right.
That's going to be our Milwaukee hot.
Okay.
And that's really, it's Milwaukee hot for a reason. Midwesterners are weak when it comes to spice, and so it's like not hot, but it's like hot.
It's like, except for the 3 Indian customers you have.
Exactly.
Can I have
like,
some
this
more
is
hot?
not hot
this
at all.
is not hot at all. Yeah.
And then we do a Memphis fried chicken. So that is loosely based on a fried chicken I had in Memphis once, and I didn't know what was going on. But I know that it was the best chicken I'd ever had in my life. It was day 12 of a fried chicken tour, and I went back to get more chicken the next day.
That's when you know.
That's when you know.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could determine from what was happening in the kitchen, where it was just like 9 fryers, and all they did was fried chicken, was the chicken was going in wet. Like batter wet. And so I was like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
And so it's our gluten-free fried chicken. So it's cornstarch and hot sauce and buttermilk based. It's got a really crispy crust. It's really dark. It's scary.
Yeah.
Get a little old black lady in the restaurant, and she's like, you burnt my chicken. And I'm like, that's how it's supposed to look, I swear to God. But yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go with the Georgia. So where do we begin?
Okay, so I'm going to cook this like I would cook it in my life.
Totally.
Which means I'm going to...
Which is, well, it's slightly off because you'd probably have music on, and we can't do that while we're recording.
I would, and we definitely can't have the music I'd listen to on this program. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to make
It is a culinary school and an educational institution.
We have rules here.
And this will be going out to students for really forever.
And the students probably listen to what I'm listening to as well.
They very well may.
So we're going to make a brine. And I'm not great at measuring, so we're going to practice measuring together here and right now. But the only rule I learned about brine was from Karen Bell again. And she just said it needed to taste like salt water, seawater.
Karen Bell, chef at Bavette, 2-time James Beard nominee.
Taught me how to do everything.
Taught you how to do everything. Super cool in the sense, well, for other reasons, but she grew up in Wisconsin.
Yep.
Learned to cook, worked for Jean-Georges von Richten.
So you know more about her than I
Oh,
do.
yeah. In Chicago. Went to Spain, learned how to cook there authentically. Opened her own restaurant in Spain, because that's easy.
Yep.
Came back to Milwaukee.
Was known as the Alice Waters of Spain for a brief period of time.
I didn't know that.
From a food critic.
Wow.
It's the only thing I really know. So when I met Alice Waters, I thought, that's who they were talking about.
That's really.
Yeah.
So you said to Alice Waters, "Have you met Karen Bell?"
Yeah, she's the you of here.
Right, exactly. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
or you of there,
hilarious. Yeah. Wow. Because when I met Alice Waters, I literally said I thought you'd be taller.
Really?
Yeah.
When I met Alice Waters, I told the servers at the restaurant to get her as drunk as possible because I wanted her to love and remember the experience and look past the flaws in the service experience. I think it worked.
Did she come into the tandem?
She did.
Wow.
When she was in town, it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, no, she came with Will. When
Yep.
she was, so that's, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah. Anyway, so Karen Bell taught you this.
We're making brine. So
Making brine.
in the restaurant, we use these containers all the time, and we call them delis, but they really are just 2-cup measures. So I'm going to try and use this as an eyeball, and I'm going to guess it's going to take about half of one of these for this bad boy.
So Volrath is a sponsor for this series, and they don't make these.
They
but
don't.
It is worth saying that if you took these away from the American culinary landscape, you would just
Collapse.
shut it down.
It would collapse.
Just go down.
Nothing would
Yep.
work. Everyone
That's
would
right.
die.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It'd be horrible.
Chefs everywhere would be like, I had 2 hands, now I have
know
1
what to
hand.
do.
I don't know what to do. Yeah.
And my setup for brine is actually 1 part salt, 2 part sugar, and then water to taste. And then, like I said, I'm guessing at this. So that was just shy of half. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of the double version of sugar and some hot water. Purists will insist upon boiling the water. And people who actually have a job to do will just use very hot tap water because there's no time to sit around for a pot to boil unless, as it turns out, this water doesn't get very hot.
I'm loving this moment because I'm reading a book with a famous baker in France who, and Suzanne Daly from the program here would probably strike me dead saying this, but he's baking bread and he just goes over to his sink and fills up an old milk carton with really hot water to mix with his flour and salt. Because he's been doing it for so long,
But
he's got the feel of it. Yeah, exactly. While, because he's French, smoking a cigarette and like has a soccer game on in the background.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great day.
Kids stay in school.
All right, so we're going to boil that instead. I lied. And we'll pour it over the brine. And in the meantime, we'll cut the chicken.
I'm going to put this lid on here.
I love it.
Just
Really
to-
accelerate the process.
Exactly.
So the goal in cooking, we're making 3 things today. So we're going to make the Georgia fried chicken. We're going to be making some candied yams. And we're going to make some collard greens, which I like to actually cut with kale for the sake of consistency, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And then some cornbread. And so the reason I'm doing this in a weird order is I'm going to basically go from piece to piece to piece. But if you ever wanted to make this at home and actually make the whole meal, you have to learn how to pace your brain. Karen used to also yell at me all the time when I'd come in and see the prep list for the day, and there'd be like 40 things to do.
And you thought you had to do it all at once.
And you just knew you had to get it all done, but I would like go in physical order. And so she'd come out and I'd be there like cutting green onions. And she'd be like, is anything in the oven cooking? Is anything on the stove? Is there anything that needs like an hour to go?
Yeah.
Why the hell are you cutting green onions? And
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, because it was like green onion. So this is my version of helping people pace that out, which means we're going to cut our bird and brine it right away. And then we'll get the greens going because those take the longest out of everything.
Got to cook them down. Yeah.
With a chicken, I have found that brine needs at least 12 hours contact with the bird. I really prefer 24 hours. After 2 days, it starts to get a little wonky. So less is more, but more is also more. So this is a nice looking bird.
There's a saying about company and fish.
Company and fish.
that follows that sort of like both get smelly after 2 days or something.
Yes.
Like it's something like that.
It's going to be just like
Yeah.
that. You leave a chicken in brine accidentally for like a third day, very uncomfortable situation. A lot of like, well,
You're making
not-
kombucha. You're making
Exactly.
chicken kombucha.
That's
what you're doing.
So also everyone learns how to cut a chicken differently. This is my made up version. It was based on a lot of people teaching me how to do things, but the way I like to do it best and the way that it fries best. So I always put her boob side down and we start with the wings. There's a little bone here. I love chickens more than I love any other kind of animal because they have grid lines. There's a map.
Yep.
There's no way to screw it up as long as you listen to the bird.
No, it's true.
And so this is the first thing the kids in the restaurant learn how to do. I tend to tell them to break
Yeah.
those so they can feel them. But if you feel that joint between where, imagine your little shoulders are.
Strangely ungratifying too, for as big of a joint as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
There's just not a lot there.
Yeah, it's just not that gratifying.
And smooth movements, right? So you should never really have to force through a bird. You're cutting in the wrong spot. So if I give it one little slice down and pull away, all of a sudden you can see the knuckle there, and you just finish the job. Flip her around. I try to cut away from myself so I don't kill myself, but it really doesn't matter much. And then right here, this is the hardest one. The kids like to screw this one up the most, but you can't get to cook anything on the line until you've managed to cut the chickens properly for like a month. So they find a way through, is cutting that little bit of skin so that you can pull away and see where that breaks there. And there's a line there. Chicken wants to be cut where it wants to be cut. We'll take the quarters off real quick.
So after
together.
this, here's where we separate from chicken to duck. Because breasting on a duck is totally different from
I've
this
never
point
done
on.
it.
Oh.
That's where I'm not a chef, right?
Right,
I can cut 10 cases of chicken in 30 minutes. But if you showed me a duck, I'd probably do something that rhymes with duck. Screw it up. Thanks for the laugh. Okay, so then here as well, you've got lines. They go straight across. You can crack the bone if you want, and that'll help feel where that is, but you really don't have to. The main goal is to find that little joint and slice through in one slice. Follow the line, cut the joint. You got thighs, you got drums, and then the bodies, I kind of go in through where the little head would be, or I guess not, that'd be where the little butt would be.
That'd be what, lower back.
Yeah, lower back pain. Take it down through the ribs a little, and then carefully put your knife through. And please do not put your hand on the side of where your knife would be.
Yeah, it's never
That's just
good.
a really bad move.
Right.
Just kind of flip it, and that's the only time you're really going to hear
That
some
and
crack.
slicing avocados in restaurants everywhere.
Or a bagel.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Remember when bagel slicers were a thing because the American people couldn't handle cutting a bagel without cutting their hands off?
Because the emergency rooms basically lobbied to the
It was the first pandemic.
unnecessary cooking craft industry. Said, please make a bagel
something
guillotine
stop.
because we just can't. Yeah.
Make it stop.
Right.
The breast is the softest bone, so it's pretty easy to get through in one swoop. But the one thing I encourage you to do is, as opposed to sawing back and forth, once you're through it, then just slide through so you can keep that skin whole. Fried chicken is of the skin. That is the part that is the most delicious, which means when you're going in through the top too, you're gonna slice through the skin and then just crack the bones.
Because if you lose the skin, it's why.
You lose a lot of joy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why are you doing this?
Right.
Do you hate this job? Do you hate your life?
Yeah.
You want to help me with that soap? I know that's probably, you guys edit this, right? Like I can turn around and do this?
Yeah.
Okay. I only wash my hands when I'm on camera.
It's soft rose too. I know that's your scent.
Soft rose is my scent.
Yeah.
How did you know?
Well, we've been friends for a while.
So,
Nope, not quite, but close.
I think it's probably fine, as
Yeah?
long as it's warm enough.
Okay.
Yep. So as long as it's warm enough to melt salt and sugar, it's probably warm enough to make your brine. I think I did this perfectly. My first set of measurements.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
And
is
then
meant to
whisk
be.
it up. It should get clear, right? You should not see a bunch of junk, more or less, and then taste it. Okay. You want to taste it?
Salty and sweet. It's like
So it's really salty and not quite sweet enough, so I'm going to add a little more sugar.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm going to hit it with that ice.
right.
So I need it to be like extra salty and messed up.
I always say my brine should taste like a watery Snickers bar. Salty and sweet.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll add ice after we add one more essential element, and it is hot sauce. There's 3 varieties here.
So you put hot sauce into the brine?
I do.
That's insane.
So there's a lot of varieties. You can use what you like, but I'm off camera, so I need to get back over there.
Yeah.
So
what do you use? Who cares what anybody else likes?
that's great. I use Valentina brand hot sauce, which was not available to me today, which I understand because it's often hard to find. It's not a standard one. Tapatio is a good substitute. I find like the goopy Mexican ones. So you want something that has some viscosity to it. If it's a thin like Frank's, that's not going to happen. And you really just eliminate that. But you just kind of, I'd say probably half a bottle. You want
Measuring with the elbow?
Measuring with the elbow. That's about half a bottle for what we've done so far. I think I've given you guys actual measurements of ingredients. One thing to keep in mind when you put hot sauce in boiling stuff, it's kind of like pepper spray. I usually have a hood
I'm
running.
glad I'm standing over.
I usually have a hood running in the kitchen.
standing over here.
I'm gonna do a whole bottle.
Oh, my wife's gonna love this.
The ice will temper it. Okay. We're okay now.
How to prove to her that I'm maintaining 6-foot distancing is that I was not.
You were not gassed
I was
out
not scarred in the hot sauce
by our
incident.
hot sauce explosion. And that happens all the time. All the time. We used to have the guys at the restaurant, like this is the first job you get. You cut chicken, you brine it, you dry it, you sort it. And this was always job number 1. And that's how you also like made sure someone was going to be able to hang.
Smells like
basically.
one
It's
big
like they
Bloody
get
Mary.
gassed out and they can just continue to do their jobs. No, you're on the right page.
It smells like one big Bloody Mary in here.
Yeah. That would be a disgusting Bloody Mary, but
Yes, it would. No, the scent is there.
yeah. Okay, so then literally, you just submerge your bird, and you're gonna try and keep that chicken in there for as long as possible. Like I said, 24 hours really helps it out. This was all stuff I learned in my mother's kitchen when I decided to open a fried chicken restaurant and then realized that I didn't really know how to cook a very good fried chicken. We did a lot of experimenting. I'm putting the carcass in there, but just because I want it off the film.
So how many pounds of, on average, is that chicken? Because you go to the grocery store or you get them from your butcher or whatever. I mean, chicken sizes are all over the map. You know, there's the little lovely, blessed by the Amish, raised by the Amish, you know, named Isabel that you can buy at Whole Foods, and you're like, okay, that's fine, but it's $18 for
a 2.5 pound chicken.
Yeah, right. My cats will eat it, and then what do I get, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they won't even be full. Or there's these ridiculous, like industrial military complex chickens that are pumped full of water and crazy.
If you ever want to lose faith in the American way of living, go to a restaurant supply and buy a case of chicken breasts. And then look at a chicken picture online and try and navigate how big a chicken would have to be to have a breast that large.
Right.
I tend to just err on the side of a chicken that looks proportionate to its body. I don't need a Kim Kardashian chicken. I need like a run-of-the-mill guy chicken who has all the parts that match the right size. Gal. It doesn't matter what kind.
Well, no.
It's got to be a
They're
gal.
all gals, yeah.
And so I tend to go with like a 3 to 4 pound bird.
Okay.
I think that's within the realm of possibility that it's a real living creature at some point, that it didn't live a life of pecking the eyes out of its neighbors.
Yeah.
And chickens are mean, so I don't feel terribly bad about eating them. They're generally just not kind birds. Whatever. I'm going to move this now, and I think I'm just going to
Pigs and chickens.
wipe it and flip it. Is everyone cool with that, since this is like the off-camera moment? The cutting board adds something nice to the table. I'll switch my towels, and we're going to clean this whole thing afterward anyway. Ta-da! Okay. So, we got our bird brining. Mm-hmm. We got to get our greens going. Otherwise, this dinner is never going to go. Greens take a long time. So it's not always...
Collard greens take a long time because they've got a lot of density, and you need to break that down.
Well, and mustards and kale are great soft greens, but I find that they don't get enough cooking time to really take on the flavor.
Right.
So my solution is to cook collards with kale. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'm bringing this whole thing out this time.
So not chef Caitlin, do you use do you use acid and heat? What do you use to break them down?
Acid and heat.
Acid and heat.
And salt.
And salt. Well,
and
salt.
fat.
Okay, you use, well, that doesn't
I'm just
break,
basically a Netflix show.
all of it.
So
Gonna call Samine and tell her.
dude, don't put me out there like that, Kyle. Not yet. Okay, so I like to use a combination of collards and kale. Roughly 50-50, maybe a little bit more collards if possible, because it really does help.
So this is finely diced, nicely diced up kale.
It's just torn up, you know.
But you got the stems. You still have the stems in there, so we're keeping all that roughage.
I like to keep some of the roughage. I'll take like the big BC stems out, and you'll notice that there's no like huge chunks of them. But you know, you just kind of break it down. The kale stems are going to have enough time to break down while the collards are cooking. So I get rolling with, we're going to call it 2 cups, but it's about a pound of a nice slab bacon. Slab bacon is not available to everyone, just because unless you have a grocery store that seems to care about that type of thing, you might not find it. But you can always cut up smaller chunks of bacon. It doesn't have to be a slab.
So 2 pounds?
Pound and a half,
pound
2
and
pounds.
A half of...
You want to basically try and cover the bottom of your pan-ish.
Of uber pancetta.
Yep, so this is like a fairly wide, short pan, so it doesn't need to be covered all the way. If I had a little taller stock pot, you can roughly, I don't know, people before they had recipes just did that by covering the pan. So I would say if you have a stock pot, cover the pan. If you have a wider one, about half of the bottom.
Got it.
I love to throw some crushed red pepper in there. A pinch, and like a full 3-finger pinch is what I'm after. If you like really hot stuff, go wild. But for 3 hours of cooking that in there, you're gonna get a lot of that flavor.
Yeah.
And then I've got this on high, medium high. The goal with greens is to get the fat to render out of the bacon.
Yep.
To get that nice and crispy.
Because fat means flavor, as Julia taught us.
Fat means flavor.
And you need a certain amount of fat so you can absorb the vitamins.
Is that how
She
it works?
also taught that to us.
Oh yeah, I think.
Yeah. No, it's a true thing.
Is he making this up?
No, I'm not making this up.
Okay, good. Well, then that makes me feel a lot better about the way I eat and cook every day. So this is going to take a second, I'm seeing, but you learn how to do things differently in different kitchens. So that's going to render out. We're going to cook that down. And when the bacon is starting to get done is when we're going to add our onions. And one thing I learned from Karen was never add garlic until the last minute. I don't know if that's a thing people know. Like there's still recipes on the internet that are like, cook your onions and peppers and garlic. And to me, that's madness.
Well, because you burn, it's like browning like putting butter in too much. You brown the butter and then you just have burned butter.
And then you burn flavor everywhere. It's just a nightmare.
Yeah, and browned or burned garlic is, nobody likes that.
Nobody likes it. So with everything going on in the
Just
world,
gets super bitter.
we need to focus on the issues, and the issues are burned garlic. Is where I'm at emotionally with it. Okay. No, I love that. Okay, so since we're waiting on this, and I don't know how to sit still, and otherwise we're just going to stare at each other,
Yeah.
I'm going to actually start putting together our yams.
Do it. Do it.
So, or should I make cornbread?
It's hard to say. I'd go yams.
I'm going to go yams because I'm sitting here at the stove. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we'll cut this bad boy on low, and we're really just going to be melting butter and stuff. Can I just keep bringing this shit out of
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to put it there? Put it here? Yeah. You're
Love
good.
it here. Okay. So, yams. This is about a half a pound of butter.
Okay.
I think we're going to make a real... If you're making candied yams,
Just
even if they're candied sweet potatoes, you have to cook like you'd think someone's like little grandma would cook, which means like...
Yeah.
I mean, this is a Thanksgiving thing. This is not your everyday. You're not
Right.
eating this on the weekend.
This is not a Graham Kerr Galloping Gourmet redone light recipe.
No.
Yeah.
This is not where we're at. So the butter's going to be unsalted, so that'll give us a chance to salt it as we go. And then you're going to take everything you'd imagine would go into an apple pie.
So that's important. Unsalted butter for the candied yams, so you can salt as you go.
I think unsalted butter for everything. That was something I learned watching Ina Garten as a child.
You can roll that way.
Is, I believe, unsalted butter.
Yeah.
So we're gonna actually, and that's gonna, yeah, it's gonna get spicy in here.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Okay. So occasionally touching these things that are gassing us out. But right here we're gonna melt this down, and if you've ever made anything pumpkin pie-y, this is what we're shooting for. So here's some ground ginger. Looks like I probably said
a teaspoon?
Teaspoon. This looks like a tablespoon to me. We're gonna do half that. We're gonna do about a teaspoon of ginger. You don't want too much of that like wild flavor in there. Nutmeg can ruin anything. So really just like a small.
It also can help.
It can, but we can taste as we go. So part of why I don't know how to measure things is because you should be tasting everything along the way. It's the only way to know if your recipe is going to get screwed up or not at the end. With allspice, we're going to do, again, probably about a teaspoon.
Just a little bit of that.
Just a little bit allspice.
We don't need to taste like Christmas.
No, and then we're going to hit it hard with the cinnamon.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not even playing. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Get happy with it. Get excited. This is going to continue to melt down. And once the butter melts, it's when we're going to throw in some brown sugar. Purists of candied yams suggest that it should be brown sugar and regular sugar. But I can't taste the difference.
What if you did brown sugar and turbinado sugar?
What is turbinado sugar technically?
Just white sugar that's unbleached, or sugar that's not bleached.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That'd probably work.
Yeah.
White sugar, like we put enough white sugar in everything, and that's like crack for children, and it ruins people's lives, and it's killing everyone. So I try to avoid it whenever possible. I'm not sure brown sugar is any better, but something about it emotionally makes me feel better. Like when I drink paper or water out of like a cup instead of a bottle, it makes me feel better about my life, my choices. Okay, that's cooking. This is melting. Should we try and do cornbread at the same time, or is that too many moving parts?
Let's go.
What's going on?
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Cornbread's the easiest, and Kyle, you are actually going to make the cornbread because everything
is
measured out.
You got this assistant, and why wouldn't you?
The fine cooks at this wonderful school, and I have a recipe, but I'm going to talk to you about it.
Okay.
As opposed to you reading it. This is the easiest thing.
Do we need one of the big bowls?
We're going to need 2 bowls.
Yeah, I thought so. I don't want to tell you how to cook, but my forward thinking.
Well, I'm learning about how to remain front-facing for the camera right now, and so I'm really, that's my focus. But okay, so you got a wet bowl and a dry bowl.
Yep.
Little bowl's your wet bowl,
yep.
Big bowl's your dry bowl. Because these are all 2-cup measurements, we're making what I call a catering-sized pan of cornbread, and it's the only way I know how to make it perfectly, so that's what you're making. So you have 3 cups of cornmeal, 3 cups of flour. You're gonna need this. Ooh, see, they thought this was 4 pinches of salt. This is not. Talking big pinches. We'll get you more salt. Yep, 2 cups of sugar, and then 10.5 teaspoons of baking powder, which I measured for you. All of that is gonna go in one thing.
Milk, eggs, canola oil.
All in the wet. So wet bowl, dry bowl.
Just put it all in.
Yep. Crack the eggs though, and I'll get you more salt.
Do you know the fancy French crack?
The one-hander?
Yeah, the one-hander on a flat surface.
No.
So their eggs, because they come from actual chickens that haven't been pasteurized because they don't have to. So they're always like, if you crack it on an angle, then you're pushing the icky stuff that could be on the outside of the egg into the
inside.
Yeah. So you crack it on a deal, but you gotta. There, I got it. Wow. You got to be able to like master that. That was pretty good, except I got
your shell box.
Thank you.
Oh, well, sorry, I'm just trying to help.
That's
I
right.
don't know what I'm doing, guys.
See if I can pull this off.
You're gonna be great.
I got some shell in there.
The good part about cracking the eggs first too is if for some reason you get shell in there, there's not a bunch of other crap in there that you can't see through.
Amen.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna add some onions.
What if, I think the shell a little bit, like a piece, like you got the lucky piece.
I like it.
I'm kidding.
I think you could pull it off. Just depends on if like your friends and family believe you. Sorry.
All right, eggs, and then what else?
Eggs.
Not chef.
Then you're gonna do your 2 cups of canola oil and your 3 cups of milk. I'm gonna grab you a whisk.
And this is all measured out, so I can just pour away.
This is what it would be like if we had a Food Network show.
Right.
Whisk is going to be for your dry ingredients first, so don't hit your wet yet.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
All right, in the meantime, this is Looks like 1 onion.
All the milk, right?
All the milk, baby.
All the milk. Fantastic whole milk from Wisconsin.
Beautiful. I'm adding 2.
The most profoundly happiest cows in the world.
2 yellow and 2 red onions. Because we're doing 2 things at once.
Can I mix this? It's just bothering me.
No, you have to put the dry first. Just because I'm thinking the practicality of like dirtying the fewest ingredients. And so if you whisk the dry first, you don't have to wash the whisk before whisking the wet.
Wow.
Everything is about being as...
Okay.
My dishwashers at the restaurant are wonderful people, but they are not always great dishwashers. Fast, thorough, efficient, so I try to avoid that at all costs. Anytime I add anything to a pan, I add salt. Doesn't matter what's happening, except for the bacon, because like that is just salt.
So you're pulling back on sugar to save us, but to hell with salt.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Salt does what? Cholesterol?
Whatever, yeah, right. Whatever with obesity, let's conquer that, but the hypertension will be fine.
Look, as a lifelong smoker, hypertension's a guarantee for me, so I'm just really trying to avoid diabetes.
All right, what dry ingredients can I put in?
Okay, all of them.
All of them.
Go hog wild.
I'm gonna go chicken
Into the
wild.
dry bowl.
Into the dry bowl. No, I got it.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I'm going over this bowl and into this bowl. Regular old King Arthur flour, any kind of special flour?
I think all-purpose is fine.
All-purpose?
Yeah, it's whatever
okay.
feels right. I've made this with fancy flours. I've made it with really basic ones. Not a lot changes it. Again, I think if you like Google cornbread,
Yeah.
there's 1 or 2 recipes that exist.
Right.
2 variations of cornbread. One is adding corn to it. So
Chunks of corn
Chunks of corn.
in the cornbread.
In the cornbread. So the critical part of making cornbread is making sure you get your baking powder in there. And this is pre-measured to 10.5 teaspoons.
By the professionals here at Madison College.
Look.
For the Madison College cooking demo sponsored by Volrath.
Wow.
I know, right?
Wow. Who knew? Thanks for the knowledge, Kyle.
Sure, sure.
Yep, whisk that up good. And we're gonna add salt. So if you don't add salt to it, or if you forget the baking powder, this is a memory recipe. So after you graduate from cutting chicken and brining it at the restaurant, you then graduate to cornbread maker when it's really busy and no one else can do it. It's usually a job reserved for like a 10-year-old. But there is only 2 ways to really screw it. Well, 3. 2 that are available here. Forgetting the baking powder, major drag.
Major.
Forgetting the salt, the worst, because you go to get this perfect looking cornbread and it just doesn't have that hit. And the worst of all is accidentally using the cornstarch instead of the flour. Ooh. In the middle of a busy Friday night service.
Ooh.
When cornbread is the side for the night.
Ooh, and then I would say the 4th would be combining the wet ingredients before you should.
It would not be good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm adding 4 3-finger pinches of salt. Those are serious.
Okay. These are Caitlin Cullen pinches.
Trademarked.
Trademarked.
And once you have a nice little mix in there, then you'll go whisk those wet ingredients with the same whisk.
Wow. Just pour them in?
Well, you got to whisk them here and then stop, because we're going to use this to fold them in.
Almost like tempering.
Just like tempering. This is where, again, I'm not a chef, so tempering would be a word that I probably still don't understand.
It's when you add the hot ingredient to, say, eggs, but you don't turn them into scrambled eggs.
Got it.
So
Then I do know what that means.
Yeah.
I call it hot stuff, cold stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. All right.
Okay. So we're going to add our salt to this, because we didn't do that before. And we'll start with like 2 nice pinches. I'm a real over-salter. Sorry.
I'm starting to sense that.
Well, it's not that big of a deal. And then I'm going to add brown sugar until it becomes brown sugar gooey looking.
Caramelized.
Caramelized. That looked like about 1/2 pound of butter to 2 cups brown sugar.
So I want to compare and contrast this cooking demo this season with you, with Gavin Kaysen, who can speak to all these cooking terms both in English and in French.
No.
We'll just put them next to each other. It's going to be kind of cool.
He's a witch. Burn him. No, I'm just kidding. Just the polyglot thing. Okay, so you're going to whisk your stuff.
Ready? Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
let's do
just
this.
we chef, except you're not. So, never mind.
Really get it nice and frothy.
We got to do. Should we do the figure 8?
I'm a big fan of the egg stabber.
Yeah, right.
Find your yolks and really just break them up. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want it to look like you're not catching any of those yolk pieces going by.
I think I got them all.
I love it.
Okay.
So you're gonna very quickly hand me that whisk, and I'm gonna throw in the sink.
Okay.
You're gonna pour it in the bowl.
Like super fast?
Yep.
Okay.
And now you're going to fold.
Yeah.
This might not make a difference, but it seems like it made a difference one time when I did it, and so that is a part of our eternal recipe.
I mean,
basically, I don't know, a lot of things taste better if you only just get the dry ingredients wet. And
Are you messing with me right now?
no, but the way you looked at me made it feel like you were messing with me. And now this is a whole different kind of show. You're doing great.
So if we were adding chunks of corn, we would add it now.
Yeah. You'd add it right when that last little bit of.
I mean, once it's all mixed up.
Yeah, once it got damp all over.
Right.
Is the technical term.
So what are you doing there, Caitlin?
Oh, thank you. I am mixing up this sugar mass and this butter, which might actually be not working very well because the butter is coming out of the sugar. It could be because it's too hot or not hot enough. Chef, any idea?
Harold McGee would know.
I bet. But honestly, no matter what happens, this is like a formality of a step to taste the coating that you're going to put on. Mm-hmm. You could also literally dump all of this into a pan and throw it in the oven covered too. Just this, it's easier to taste seasonings when they're attached to butter and salt and sugar than just like eating nutmeg. Which is something that I learned in the autobiography of Malcolm X, can get you high if you're very desperate.
Nutmeg?
Eat an inordinate amount of nutmeg.
It's also really awesome to add to soups.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the secret weapon for flavor.
What do you?
Just kind of takes it.
Any soup?
Not any soup, but like on a cream soup. Actually, many soups. Like I wouldn't do it with a vichyssoise. That's crazy. But
that's crazy.
That's just crazy.
But a lot of soups.
A lot of hot soups that have a protein-based flavor or mushrooms and umami goes really well.
I love that.
Just kind of takes a little further.
While you're, how are we looking?
Well, I think
Living large?
I think we're all folded.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is like a hotel bed, man. It's all put away.
You gotta taste your batter, which is also probably not good for you.
Why?
Because if you need more salt, if you miss the sugar, if you use cornstarch on
This is great. This is right where it should be.
It's great. Okay.
Yeah.
While that's sitting there, I'm gonna add just probably like a teaspoon of vanilla to this. Really set those yams off.
Liquid vanilla.
Yep. And then we're gonna do a side-by-side panning of our goods to go in the oven.
That's going to be cool.
Okay.
Thank goodness for this Volrath bowl and spatula.
I have always thought that Volrath has the sexiest bowls in the game. Did I pull that off?
I'm going to leave that alone.
Did I pull it off?
I'm going to leave that alone.
Yes. Okay. The lines of those bowls.
Sleek.
Okay. I'm going to add garlic. It's about 2.5, 3 cloves because we're at this point where everything's getting caramelized and good. The garlic, again, I cannot explain to you why, but I can explain to you that it does. The garlic, when you stir it in, will make, basically when the bacon was cooking, it started to stick to the pan. And everything got all screwed up, and you were like, oh my God, it's burning. Then you throw the onions in there, moisture kind of takes all that bacon off the pan, and then it's happy again. And you're like, oh my God, okay, I didn't burn my greens. Somehow the garlic does something to the chemistry of the pot where everything will begin to stick again. And that's the good stuff.
That's called fond.
It's called fond. I call it Flavortown, trademarked. I actually sold that phrase to Guy Fieri.
Harold McGee could explain why that happens, but you go with Flavortown.
So this Flavortown's about to happen. We've got probably about a minute or two the garlic's going to cook. We're going to smell it, and then we're going to hit it with a bunch of acid.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Which
in the
is
meantime,
what, wine?
Wine and apple cider vinegar.
Oh, yeah, right.
I like my greens to feel like they already have hot sauce in them, which is why the crushed red pepper went in, and which is why we're going to use, almost 2 cups of cider vinegar. Okay.
That's a lot.
Do we have something to grease this pan?
Okay.
See, I have an issue with sugar. but not with cigarettes. I have an issue with plastics, but not like things that we spray in the air, like,
aerosols.
Like that can't be good. Aerosol is terrible.
Aerosols.
I pick and choose what I decide to be upset
Well, and I
about.
noticed because you had no problem pouring boiling hot water, near boiling hot water, into a large plastic receptacle.
No, not at all. But I think these are made for hot stuff.
In my house, verboten.
You'd get
Oh, no.
just taken.
Yeah,
in.
don't even.
I think a healthy amount of plastics in the human system really
Gives you that
fortifies you.
high pro glow.
Yeah, well, and it just, as the world continues to go into the dumpster, you want to be really as immune as possible to everything, and I think ingesting a small amount of plastic is healthy.
I think that the data
Make sure that someone sends that.
is not yet in
this-
on that.
No.
Yeah. So this is my pan, by the way. This is your pan.
That's your cornbread pan. This is my yam guy.
This one.
My yam pan.
Yeah.
My yam bam.
So explain to me, non-chef,
Yep.
why or the difference between yams and sweet potatoes for this recipe.
So, I don't know. This is the best thing you guys have ever had happen on this show, is me with no answers. I really don't know. I'm imagining it's something about sugar content. It could be some variation of what it is. I know that my restaurant operates with an all-black staff in a community that's 99% black.
Yep.
And no one has ever called a sweet potato, no matter if it's a sweet potato or not, anything other than a yam.
So there you go.
So it's a yam.
When in Rome.
To the point where you go to the grocery store and you're self-scanning your stuff and you look up sweet potato and the word doesn't exist.
Wow.
I was floored at the grocery store, like grabbing some last-minute sweet potatoes, like, oh my God, I can't find them. And the girl was like, yeah, because it's yam. And then it worked. So that's just kind of how we do it. While we're waiting on that cooking spray, you want to come look at this? I'll step away so I don't poison you. We got all this stuff sticking at the bottom.
Porky goodness.
Good smell, good flavor, it's gooey. And
So you got caramelized sugar. No, that's in the other one. You got caramelized, you got reduced pork, bacon, what did you call slab bacon?
Yep.
Caramelized onions, your red peppers.
Thank you, Chef.
Now you're going to basically reduce off white wine.
Yep.
And what else?
Apple cider vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar.
And the white wine is not from somebody's granny's recipe, because wine historically is expensive and not fun, so vinegar kind of can do that, or water. I just really like to add the wine because it does so much more than water does.
Yeah.
And we're going to add water to it too, but something about it, like, I don't know, you go out to eat at a restaurant to enjoy things the way that they're made the best. Mm-hmm. And the people love to add their own hot sauce to the greens, but really, if I can give you that whole experience without you having to pick up anything else,
Right.
it's even better.
Right.
So that's a lot of wine. I am going to add probably, if you're going to do this at home, equivalent of half of a bottle of wine of cider vinegar, which is about that. The folks here at Madison know how to measure things, and they know how to do it right. This is a great place. I'm never leaving. And then you're going to let it come to a boil.
Just kind of every day at a culinary school, knowing how to measure things.
It's unbelievable. And they've got all these containers. I've got like 9 deli containers that match their lids at the restaurant. 9. I couldn't find a red lid anywhere if I tried. And we are going to fill this salt bowl up again, because we are about to hit this with a lot more salt. So again, now I just added something else, and I'm going to give it like a good 2
That's
handfuls
a lot
of salt. It's a lot of greens. I mean,
That's
to
true.
be really honest, this is...
That's true, to break all that down?
Yeah, it's going to take a minute.
Yeah.
But, a nice handful of salt. You can always add more salt, and you can't take it away. That's like the big thing you get taught.
That's why I said that's a lot of salt.
I know, but you also can't add salt as you go retroactively. Every layer that you add salt in adds some element to the food. Mm-hmm. But if you want to go back in time and add salt 2 hours ago, that flavor doesn't happen. The greens aren't going to open up the same way. So I've made these a billion times, which is why I felt the confidence about doing that. Mm-hmm. But you really do have to hit it with something. And we have a magic ingredient to temper that: a massive amount of butter.
It's really just a pound.
It's a pound for about 2 pounds of greens. The ratio is problematic.
So I was recently asked on a radio show what style of cooking we would characterize, because everyone's cooking at home, what style of cooking would I characterize our home cooking as?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think we have a style. But I do know that our like sort of, I don't know what, like end of the game might just be French, because we can be like way long on grocery shopping, like weeks, right? But if we run out of butter,
it's over.
Oh my God, we gotta get.
Well, you just can't.
We gotta get something in this house.
What are you gonna cook?
Right, exactly.
You might as well order pizza and just quit.
That's how I know. Right, you throw in the towel.
Like, you gotta just quit. Okay, I'm removing some of this stuff again because I hate a messy workstation. And now that I understand how thoroughly this thing can be edited, I feel really like I have the liberty to do stuff like that. And then we'll talk about greens. So, before we get our stuff in the oven, I swear we're gonna get there.
I know, I've got faith.
The greens are boiling. We don't want them to boil, right? That's like kind of weird. So I'm just gonna turn this low until this reduces by a quarter.
Okay.
So I just want to lose some of the weight off of it, kind of concentrate the flavor, make sure all the crap is cooked off the bottom pan, the fond.
Evaporate the alcohol.
Evaporate the alcohol. I never really think about that part.
Yeah, that's a big part. Just keep the flavor.
Keep the flavor, evaporate the alcohol. Mm-hmm. And then we'll add some greens and some water, maybe some more salt. Just kidding. Okay.
Onward with the yams.
Onward with the yams. So I want to show what it's really like to work in a restaurant. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am going to just pour all this junk in here and like stick my arm in it. Is that okay?
It's a cooking school.
Great. Cooking school. So again, not the best way to do this, not the worst way to do this, but that pan is pretty shallow. So I'm going to get all the good goo in here.
Two things just I realized. Ina Garten never taught you this.
No.
But she also never made Southern style yams.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Ina Garten did teach me how to cook though when my mother, bless her heart, who has become a much better cook since then, had 3 recipes in her repertoire, one of which was Hamburger Helper. So she did help me figure out some really basic things for the future of my life. Yeah, so I'm just gonna stick my hands in here. And you just wanna make sure all the yams get coated. If you're gonna do this at home, or you can use a spoon.
If you had a big, wide Vollrath bowl, you could do that too.
You know what, and I was just thinking about the smooth, clean lines of a Vollrath bowl and how that would really help this experience, but I'm pretty dug into this now. Life is full of regrets.
You missed that.
A really strong opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing I'll do when I leave here is get some of those for my life, so this never happens again. So once they're all coated.
Yeah, there's some ones on the bottom that aren't coated.
Well, so we're going to kind of coat as we go.
I see. Let me move.
And go.
Let me move
so
this
some
over.
of these clumps of goo are staying in the pan. I'm going to release some of the.
Look at this.
Wow.
I mean, if you want to go back in time.
Come on, Kyle, let's do this.
Exactly. I'm not doing. I'm 6 foot doing it, but you do it.
I'm just going wild.
But look at the coatability that you get now.
Well, and it's a 2-hand job when you've got a Vollrath bowl, is what I've learned.
Amen.
But I'm going to stick with one hand because then I have to touch the sink at some point.
Yeah. Wet hand, dry hand.
See how this is coating all nice?
It's true.
And it's not going to, like, as the sugar cooks, it's going to, like, really cook in the oven and boil and get all wild. The coating is really not that important.
So it doesn't have to be even. It should look like a leopard spotted pelt
I love that. Yes.
on the yams.
A pelt of yams. A yam pelt.
A leopard pelt of yams.
A leopard pelt of yams. The Leonard Peltier of yams.
I got to get me some of those Vollrath bowls.
I know. I'm keeping this one, actually. I didn't take an overnight hotel stipend, so this is actually what I'm going to take. Okay, and I'm going to clean up really quick.
So this is, I'm going to pull you to task. This is exactly how you make your yams for the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to cover the yams, but I think we should put the cornbread in at the same time.
All right, I like it. So we were going to do these trays together.
In unity.
In unity, but then you just went ahead and yammed that one up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I got distracted by that Vollrath bowl.
So I'm just gonna go.
Spray, Kyle.
Oh.
Spray.
Gotta spray.
Or, if you're feeling really nice,
apply
a coat of melted butter. Because
I think definitely
that one Southern cook got exposed as being a pretty bad racist, and so I'm gunning for her job. Pay me $1 million a year on Food Network, I'll think about it.
Okay. We're going in.
That's looking great. And you got to get every last little bit.
Don't you worry. I got a Volrath spatula and a Volrath bowl.
Well, then you're set.
Yeah.
I don't know why I ever doubted it. I guess I thought that was a Restaurant Depot spatula, but boy, was I wrong.
Not at Madison College, that's for damn sure.
That's for sure. That looks great, Kyle.
We got to switch
It's amazing how you can really get everything out of that Volrath bowl.
They know what they're doing. 140-year-old company. Probably 142 at this point, something like that. Yeah.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah. Dude, they made the canteens for the Army and the Navy in World War II.
Like around, like
the little metal canteen that you see in every World War II movie where they're like deep in battle, like, and then they get a drink of water.
And then they keep going.
And then exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's badass.
That's actually really badass.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I'm gonna just hide it right here. Okay, so here's what's cracking. I like to smack the pan. These are just things that we make up, but I think in my mind you're releasing some air bubbles.
Probably.
Settling.
Sure.
Think like when you watch a pancake cook and the bubbles go and pop off and that seems exciting. I don't know what it is. But it also helps everything settle more evenly, so you don't have a lopsided cornbread.
But a bubble or two in cornbread is kind of nice.
Probably. I make really good cornbread though, and I just literally put it in the pan and smack it like that.
Okay, well.
So, okay, we're gonna foil our yams. Our oven's at 350. These newfangled, no, they're not newfangled. These home ovens that keep regular temperature are very complicated for me to understand. We always keep ours at the restaurant at about 430 degrees, and I think it probably clears about 350. So just, you gotta find what feels right.
Yeah.
I think 350 is good. It's convection.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the yams down low. We're gonna get the cornbread kind of higher up.
Got it.
Let's do
you
this.
ready?
Let's do this.
Cornbread goes in.
Yep.
It's a beautiful thing.
And we are gonna do 375 sounds cool. 350 if your oven's really hot. 11 minutes on each side. So we're gonna cook it that way. We're gonna flip it around, cook it for another 11 minutes. And then at that point we can start adding minute by minute.
In both cases?
Cooked. Just for the cornbread.
That's what I thought.
The yams are gonna live in there quite some time.
They're good.
Quite some time. I'm gonna wipe this off.
Can we put this in there? Or should we just?
I think we should, but I need you to cut half a pound of butter.
Okay.
And put that in the pot.
I can do that. And then we can move on to chicken.
There's pre-cut butter over there on that rack.
Let's just go with that pre-cut butter. And then we'll move on to chicken.
Yep. The least measurement kind of measurement I have is how to make chicken batter.
This is the half a pound, I assume?
It is. It looks just like one, I think.
All right. In the pot, no?
In the pot.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
I love it.
That
We're gonna
smells
let that
quite good.
It's going to be
A
really
little acidic, but it smells good.
The acidity will go away with this butter, with the water that we're adding.
Absolutely.
The greens are going to like soak all of it up and do something to it chemically that's going to be great. And I will say, the reason I use collards and kale, and I think I kind of touched on this briefly, but it is very important to me, and I think it's a cornerstone of good greens, is collards are really the flavor you want. But they're so tough. And they take forever to break down.
Yeah.
And so you either keep cooking them till they're mush,
Right.
or you don't cook them enough. Toothy collards, booty, not exciting. Kale cooks at about half the speed. A lot tenderer of a green. So if you cook them together at the same time, the kale is going to do that mushy, like coating everything with a nice flavor, goo, old lady granny greens. But the collards will keep their shape.
Oh.
And so you'll actually end up with like...
So you can get them to cross the finish line at the same time?
Same time.
All right. I would not have known that.
We're going to add these collards. This is going to be probably 3 bunches of collards, maybe 2 smaller ones. We're going to add kale. Usually I like a little more collards than kale, but we're going to do equal parts today. And honestly, the thing I love most about greens is as long as it's green and it's hearty, you can cook it at whatever pace you want.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Totally.
You know what I mean? You can. This could be all kale, could be all whatever. And this is the tough part. For the sake of measurement, again, in the restaurant we do things with weird names, like we use the French fry bowl, and we fill the French fry bowl with water and pour it into the greens. So we're gonna have to touch these greens and really see how much liquid's in there. You wanna put your hands in? Is that weird?
Sure, no.
But I'm like packing them down and my hands clear liquid right there.
Yeah, I get it.
And honestly, that's almost enough water.
It's like a green hot tub.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a spa treatment.
Exactly.
Keeps everything good. So really, I'm probably going to only add maybe half a cup of water, 3/4 of a cup of water.
Yeah, I don't think you need a whole lot.
No, because the greens will send so much water from within to make the pot taste great.
Because that's how they stayed alive.
That's literally how they stayed alive.
Until we cut them up in little pieces
And then
for our delight.
fed them to our
Yeah,
neighbors.
right.
And then I'm really going to put this bad boy on the back with that lid that we had once upon a time.
Here's that lid.
Right
It's right
here.
there in the sink, chef, not chef.
Not chef.
Yeah.
If I was a chef, I wouldn't be throwing all this shit in the sink. Okay.
Okay, chicken?
Chicken.
Chicken. So, been brining for 12 hours.
Yep.
Let's just go with that,
So now the chicken has been brining for approximately 12 hours.
even though it's been like 30 minutes.
It's been about 6. You are going to make this, Kyle.
I am.
This is your journey.
Okay.
Because I'm sick of making fried chicken. No, I'm just kidding.
Am I going to dredge chicken?
You are going to help me make a seasoning. You are going to dredge it. And I think I might let you drop it in the
Yeah.
fryer just to really get that rush. Okay.
Nothing's like it.
Nothing's like it. Let's use all this flour. The amount of flour that you use is not super essential. You just have to adjust your seasonings as it goes. But like 2 quarts of flour,
Yeah.
I mean,
Based on need.
based on how much you're gonna make. We're
Right.
making one chicken. You want enough flour that you can move the bird around.
Right.
But you don't want too much that you're just throwing a bunch of flour away.
Yeah.
So dump that in there.
Okay.
Let's do this.
So 2 quarts seems like a good number. Look at this fancy Volrath spoon, by the way.
Wow.
That's.
When I first quit my job, burned my master's degree, and started cooking for a living for
burned
minimum
your
wage.
master's
No, I didn't burn it, but like when my mom put it up in my bedroom, my childhood bedroom, was like, well, we tried. As I worked minimum wage serving cheesesteaks to drunk people, my friend got me a set of saucing spoons because she had read on the internet that every good chef is nothing without a saucing spoon. I'm making like cheesesteaks on a flat top for drunk people, but I really appreciated the gesture, and now I understand why spoons are important because that looks great.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everybody stays healthy, we're gonna put some sugar in here. Not a lot, but I would say this is gonna look for that measurement that we have. It's gonna look like about 2 teaspoons of sugar, maybe slightly more.
Just so you know, kids, when you get out of culinary school and you get into the industry, it's the closest thing to rock and roll that you can get with food.
Sugar.
Sugar.
Oh boy. The sugar does something cool. When the chicken hits the fryer, it helps kind of change that color. Like if you did just fry flour, it would work out, but sugar kind of gives it that extra brown, crispy looking thing that people love. And it just opens the flavor up a little. I also feel like anytime you're making something, if it can echo that same set of ingredients and other elements of what it is, it tastes good, which is a pretty standard thing to know.
Yeah.
But I take that for granted sometimes. So like if we have a cayenne somewhere in our hot sauce brine and some sugar in there, and then all of a sudden there's a little sugar in the coating and that's there, they just sing better together.
It all comes
They just
together.
come together. Okay.
They harmonize.
Paprika is mostly for color, and because it's on every recipe list of ingredients, I am actually going to do this instead.
And because I'm Hungarian?
And because you're Hungarian. And that nice smoky flavor. Can you smell that?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. That's just going to be...
1/16 of my blood is made up of that. From my grandmother's cooking.
Is that like a registry thing, like an enrollment, like a tribe, or no? It's just I'm just goulash. I'm just goulash through and through. A shakeover, which isn't a good measurement, but maybe a teaspoon. Onion powder, you're going to do in equal parts to your not in equal parts to your paprika. In 2 parts onion powder to your 1 part paprika on top. You're really I use the bowl shaking it over to coat to like be able to see what I'm actually putting in there. We got some ground black pepper. This is really nice. You want a lot of that. Those little pepper flakes, you're probably going to do 4 parts to the 1 part of paprika you did. The look of pepper in a chicken entices the eye. You could add a couple teaspoons or 100 and it probably wouldn't change the flavor that much. There's already a little hot sauce in that dredge. You know,
Yeah.
it's hot already.
Yeah.
Cayenne you want to be careful with.
So there's a fair, for this is the Georgia recipe.
Yep.
But I never realized there's a fair amount of heat that you build up across this recipe.
Well, chickens, I mean, even if we're buying decent Amish birds, that's a lot of flavor you have to get. You know what I mean? Even the breast, after we cut it in half, it's such a broad thing.
Yeah,
that
it's
you gotta,
true. It's true.
Gotta jazz it up. And flour tastes like nothing.
Yeah.
So unless you really jack it up, I think some of the worst chicken we've made, with the exception of the chickens that have been raw when served, has been under-seasoned on the thing. And that is like the crime of crimes in Lindsay Heights and in largely black communities.
Is to under-season.
Under-seasoning your chicken.
Yeah. Why'd you even bother?
Why even be there?
Why even bother?
Why try and open a restaurant? Who do you think you are?
Right.
Just take it home.
Yeah.
We always have to be better than Popeyes. It's tough. It's a good bird. Okay, garlic powder, you're gonna do almost in the amount that you did the black pepper. So to recap, garlic powder and black pepper, a lot of it. About half that amount you're gonna hit with the onion powder. Cayenne, just a gentle suggestion. Paprika, double the suggestion of your cayenne. Sugar, a whisper. And then,
salt.
Like anything great, we're gonna put a lot of salt in here. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3 finger pinches, and we're probably gonna add more.
Okay.
Just so we're really clear.
Sure.
It's just
It is sea salt, so it's less salinity, flavor-wise, than if you were throwing in.
I'm learning a lot at culinary school today. Are you gonna get fired for inviting me on this show?
No, I am not, as far as I know.
Okay, cool.
I mean, in this pandemic,
Anything
I'm planning my life out about the next 4 days.
That's exactly right.
4 to 10, like if I get to 10, I'm like, wow, we're really looking ahead.
Oh my God. You've made it to 10?
I've made it to 10, planned out 10 days. Yeah.
That's
like
good.
I know what's happening.
For 10 days.
For 10 days. Yeah.
That's, I think, better than most people.
Yeah, no, that's only happened once or twice, but.
A gross part of this that's also probably not advisable, like technically, because raw flour is the thing that tends to make people sick, not the eggs in the cookie dough. That's fact. I learned something on the internet, right?
I don't know.
Tasting raw flour is gross.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good on the tongue.
Nobody wants it.
But you have to. We have to have some understanding of what this is going to taste like, which I like to lick and stick my finger in, so we're not going to have you do that because it's pandemic.
Fair enough.
Okay. So
You're going to do it.
I am. This is going to go into a 375-degree deep fryer for 15 minutes. I don't think anything could survive that. I got to tell you, this flour is perfect.
Yeah.
So it's very salty. Can I like pull a little? Here, look, I stuck my finger over there. I'm going to pull a little out for you so you can lick and stick. We should have done that in the first place. Can you taste the seasonings?
I can definitely taste the seasonings.
Can you taste the salt?
A little bit.
Do we need more salt?
No. I think it was just the corner that I got.
Okay.
I can definitely taste the seasonings.
Is it too much seasoning?
No.
You want to be able to taste all the flavors of what you're
subtle,
putting in there.
They're subtle and balanced, I dare say.
I appreciate that. And then, for the sake of battering it, we're going to leave it in this bowl for dredging it. But I'm going to go ahead and have you. This works.
You just put the egg whites or eggs
Crack
in there?
the eggs right in there with your French crack.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go on the edge and do an American crack because I got shell that I had to dig out last time. I really got shell now. And I just don't want to do that. And I know that these eggs have been pasteurized because we're in America.
We're in America.
That's right.
Okay, so these birds that we have been brining for at least 12 hours.
At least 12 hours.
At least 12 hours. And see also, well, this doesn't show in the shot, but I'm going to hit you with it. It's going to settle at the bottom, all the junk you put in there. That's not really my salt and stuff. That's the hot sauce whirring around and maybe a little bit of sugar left. If you're feeling wild and you really want to make sure every last bite is perfect, a couple hours into it, put a spoon in there, stick your hand in there, mix it around, let that start to coat in other places.
I mean, with all the salt in there, how could there be any issue with putting your hand straight in?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's practically antiseptic.
Totally.
This is hand sanitizer if you need it. I know it's getting expensive. And another trick that we're not going to do in this moment because it would just be camera magic and not real is you will, if you have the space to do so, taking your chicken out of the brine an hour at least before you cook it in the fridge but putting it on a rack, drying it with paper towel, however you want to do that, does add some bird magic. So we do it for a full 24 hours in the restaurant because we've got an entire rack that's designed
So you brine for 12 plus, and then you dry it for 24.
Yep.
So that's some serious forward thinking for chicken.
You really have to be there. And so that is why, like I keep saying it, the first job at the restaurant is crap related to chicken.
Yeah.
You're cutting them, you're brining them, you're drying them, you're sorting them, you're running up and down the stairs and grabbing them for the guy who's cooking in the middle of the rush.
Yeah.
But something about putting it on, we put it on racks for, like about a full day. And something about that air time where it can start, you see like air chilled chickens or air, whatever. Yeah. It really does start to tighten the skin around. That helps with that crispy crust. It's a really all around good experience for your birds. But also like if you have just a regular fridge at your house, maybe you live with your mom, that's, like a bunch of raw chicken on a tray doesn't really entertain everyone the way it does me.
Could be a thing.
Could be a thing. We're gonna add some cold water to this egg here. The little bit of egg, 2 eggs for about, a liter, maybe 1.5 liters of water is gonna be fine. When we do it in these big 8-quart containers, we do like 3 eggs. So I'm just kind of making this smaller. This is really just to help things stick together. I think this is actually probably enough. Too much egg and you're deep frying eggs.
Right, yeah.
Not enough egg and you're gonna lose coating. And since we used all of the Mexican hot sauce that we had, we're gonna get wild.
So there's more hot sauce coming?
There is more hot sauce. You had no idea.
I had no idea. I never thought this chicken was that hot.
Which looks more viscous to you?
That one.
Cholula.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is going to be a wild bird because it's going to have chili garlic. If you like your hot sauces different, mix it up.
I mean, who's to say? You
Who's
can't.
to say what is right?
It's a moderately free country.
This is something I learned from Paula Deen.
Oh my God.
I'm serious. Because the first time I fried chicken, I was in the Dominican Republic, desperate for something that felt like home, and decided that we would get together one day and have a fried chicken party. And it was really a lot of fun. This hot sauce is slightly lighter than the sauce we were using earlier, but the goal is kind of that almost like you were making a scrambled egg, color water.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little bit about color. Like you just want it to look orange enough.
Yeah. Wow.
And I don't know if that adds some coloring to the batter, if it adds some flavor. I'm gonna taste a little raw egg to make sure we didn't make this too spicy. It's great. The water itself shouldn't be very hot. If it's too dark, you're gonna have burnt ass looking chicken.
Do you want to move all this over closer to the fryer?
I think that's a really good idea.
Just saying.
That's why you make the big bucks. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
We're gonna check our cornbread quick.
Okay.
Make sure.
We should. It's been 11 minutes. We should flip it around.
We should flip it around.
Yeah.
Has it been 11 minutes?
Easily.
We all set a timer.
Not.
We did not set a timer. Ooh, this is fancy. All these appliances with the
sliding shelves.
And we have the 3 shelves in the one in the restaurant, our convection, that doesn't shut. We use a spatula to keep it closed. But if you need to remove the shelves, you have to do it when the oven is off because you have to pull so hard with such force with 2 hands that you'll end up hitting yourself with a boiling hot
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No, it's not good. Okay, I'll do this. I mean, unless you want
No,
to.
I'll do it.
Do you want to?
Sure.
Do you want my apron?
No.
Okay. Take your watch off. Take your ring off. Because that's something you can't undo.
Okay.
Sorry.
Really?
You can keep your ring on. If you want to, you're going to get really gooey.
That's okay.
Then stay gooey. Well, look, here then.
Okay. It would be the
stay
first
gooey,
time
too.
I had taken it off since August 6th of 2016.
That's amazing.
Well, it's what's marriage. It's not that big of a deal.
I know. Anne didn't size mine right, so I take it off whenever I'm worried I'm going to lose it in a vat of chicken things. But I'm getting it sized this week. Okay, so
I sized mine with a twist tie while my wife was asleep. I mean, I sized hers.
No.
Yeah, she was out cold. I took a twist tie. I sized it.
No.
Yeah.
How?
She apparently was really sleepy. Yeah. Anyway.
I bought 2 decoy rings from 2 different sizes, knowing damn well that if I picked out the ring that she was going to have to wear for the rest of her life, I would do it wrong. Then we went and bought a ring together. Okay, so make sure your skin is evenly distributed. I'm going to pull like the skin down on the drumsticks. You'll notice that on the breast too, since they're cut in half, they're not going to stick together as well. I like to keep a dry hand and a wet hand. Otherwise,
why didn't you dip it in here?
With flour, then liquid.
Whoa.
Then flour. You got to double hit it. Okay. I keep a dry hand and a wet hand because you're going to gum the hell out of your flour if you're switching up.
It's going to be bad news.
And I just kind of cover this guy.
Yep.
I'm going to really turn him around, shake him off.
Drop it in. Wet hand.
Pull him out with the wet hand. Drip it off.
Gum it again.
Gum it again.
Yeah. Into the fryer?
We will. Yeah, we should just fry one at a time.
Just fry.
Let's just do it?
Just do it.
Let's do it.
Just do it.
Oh my God, this fryer is cute.
This is a Vollrath Cayenne.
I need one of these. I'm supposed to fry
It's a teensy
60 chickens at Amalinda, so I need 40 more of these because their fryer is about this big. And then you're gonna wanna shake your basket.
Right.
Because my hands are gooey.
Okay.
Oh, leave it down. Give it a good little jostle. And chicken will go for 13 minutes.
Okay. So the same timer we set for the cornbread.
Yeah. I feel bad making all this food and not having it actually come to fruition. How about this? If someone feels like setting a 13-minute timer, I'd appreciate that so this chicken could be done, but don't worry about it.
I'm looking.
You got eyes. Okay. So chicken pieces, depending on the size of the bird, it does feel really weird. Depending on the size of the bird, depending on the size of your fryer, how much you're trying to fry at once, it's going to have different timing.
A lot of depending on the oil.
Depending on the oil. But I'm a pure vegetable, like basic ass frying oil person.
Okay.
I like my
That's a brand name, by the way.
basicassoil.com/Vollrath. Did that work? No. Okay. So for me, with this 3 to 4 pound bird, breast cut in half, so it's a 10-piece chicken, not an 8-piece, I will put the breasts in for 14 minutes each.
Sure.
Breasts, if they've been brined properly, honestly, this chicken all being brined, overcooking is going to be a lot harder to do than undercooking. And it's also part of why we brine our birds, right?
Yeah.
I have young people who are often doing their first time cooking anything, and they're doing it for money and for people who are paying for it. So making sure that you have as many steps in place to keep yourself safe helps.
Good
I
call.
mentioned the raw chicken before.
Yeah.
And so we just kept steadily upping that ceiling number. 14 minutes, you're not going to end up with a raw bird, but you're definitely not going to end up with an overcooked bird.
Just extra crispy.
Yep. I do my dark meat at 13 minutes, and I do my wings at 8.
Sure, because they're little.
They're little, they don't need it. If you're in a rush and you're cooking the whole chicken at once and you dump it in there, again, they're brined, they're nice and fatty, they're not going to overcook.
That would take a different fryer.
Much different fryer. I can only imagine getting 4 pieces in this one.
Let's try it.
But we're going to try it.
Let's work to the end of...
Where are you going?
Okay.
What's your piece? Pick your piece. Pick your poison.
I'm going to go... Well, I'm going to copy you, so I'm going to go...
The drum is the best.
Right here, the drum.
Yep.
So I have a question. So this is wet, and this is going to be wet.
Yep.
But then I need to have wet hand, dry hand. I'll have 2 wet hands.
You'll see how much different that wet is than that wet.
Okay.
Submerging.
So, pulling this down.
Yep.
Right. Dropping it in.
Dropping it in.
Dry. Bury it up.
Yep. Really kind of squish it on. Maybe squish it a little.
Squish it.
Yep. If you're feeling it.
Just squish.
Yep. Really shake her off. Love it.
Submerged.
You're going to see about wet hand, dry hand right now.
Back out. Let it drain.
Yep.
And back in.
Yep. Toss a rooney.
Wow. That's about all I can say is wow.
Chicken 1 is already looking good. Let's do it.
Chicken 2 is going in.
Chicken 2 is going in. What's your favorite piece of chicken?
Dark meat.
Is it?
Any dark meat.
Really?
All day.
In all contexts?
In all contexts. It's just, yeah.
I was raised by we were a figure skating family, so diet was very important. So I was raised on chicken breasts of all ilks, and I do love it. It makes me feel like less of a chef. That's actually why I don't call myself chef, is because I prefer white meat.
Huh. I think you should get over that.
No, I know. I like dark meat too.
And I think dark meat.
Okay, you want to batter some more of these? You can leave them in the bowl. I'm going to stir these greens, make sure they're groovy.
All right.
They are cooking away, not looking appropriate for how far they need to be cooked for this show, but. And this is gonna be gross, Kyle, or maybe it will seem gross. Kale is a much easier green to eat raw as far as the flavor goes, but I'm gonna taste some of it. Even though it's like raw as hell.
I mean, you be you.
I wanna check my salinity, I wanna check my acid, see if I need more butter, and then we'll let them cook for.
So pre-pandemic,
hours.
you did this kind of food and this process every night. Most nights you were open, you were closed on Sundays, I think, or Mondays or something like that.
Sundays and Mondays.
Sundays and Mondays. With a crew, primarily, you trained people
Yep.
who, it's fair to say, had never worked in restaurants
Never.
before. Never. Okay. They probably had eaten fried chicken,
Yes.
but they'd never worked in restaurants.
Some had worked in the cafeteria in a prison.
Okay.
Thanks,
Okay.
chef. Nailed it. Some had worked in the prison cafeteria. Some had. Everyone has cooked. You know what I mean? At some point in their life.
Well, no, I don't. That's the
A lot
thing.
of these, a lot of young folks know how to cook a little bit. Especially in our neighborhood, like a lot of kids are making dinner when they're a little bit younger. Cooking is a big part of like what your life's work is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do have a lot of folks who know how to cook, but they know how to cook for themselves or something very specific.
Right.
And so the young people are really learning as they go, which is also why sometimes I feel creatively stifled as far as like cooking goes. Is I can't change the menu because I can like incrementally and gradually.
But there's so many things.
There's so many things. And so to make it as simple as possible, we have things we make the way we make them, and they always stay the same so that I don't have to teach. We've had 150 employees or more.
Yeah.
I would have to teach every single one of them directly based on the turnover.
Every single time.
But if I've got, you remember Meech, who's back working at the restaurant 4 years later.
Meech is
Chicken God, man.
Chicken God. He was very mercurial. I saw him storm out of the kitchen one night.
Yes.
Threaten to quit.
Yep.
Get to the door.
Yep.
Change his mind.
Yep.
Come back in. I think he told you he loved you.
Yep.
And then
He's a man of many emotions and made some hell of the chicken. So, but I could have him teach somebody because we didn't change anything. So he started at cutting the chicken and made his way all the way up to running the line. But if I had changed anything along the way, I'd be teaching that guy how to cut chicken again at the beginning. And so it's been,
But
it keeps you doing one
aside
thing.
from a pandemic, I don't want the tandem to change.
No, I don't want it to either.
Yeah.
And it's going to change a little. And the goal is Meech is back. Teresa's back. No, I've got all these young people who started with us 4 years ago.
Right.
Who have now, Meech has worked at Buckley's, Bavette, a couple different hotels.
He's left the farm and seen the city.
He's cut his teeth. Teresa got a job at Sanford. And so I'm looking at these young people who started with us to get their start.
Yeah.
And really seeing also that I'm tired of teaching the entire world how to cook. And so instead of focusing so much on a kid's first job, we're going to really focus on making this a career for grown people.
We're at
grown kids.
About 7 minutes on that first drum.
Are you really keeping track?
Of course I am.
You're going to have to eat this on camera.
That's fine. Dude, I got a toddler. I can tell you when 7 p.m. hits.
With your eyes closed?
Oh, easily. Or 11, or many other times. I know about how long things, because it happens.
Just how it goes.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the rest of these?
Well, you said probably only 4 pieces could fit in there.
So you can continue if you're really crafty with it.
I'm good.
I'm gonna show you, or I'll tell you about the Meech way of doing it.
Yeah, no, tell me.
Which is take all your chicken in there, give it a little drip, and throw it all in the bowl at the same time.
It's crazy.
I know.
That sounds like a Meech move.
It is. He's been responsible at different times for like 40 chickens in a night in a 3-hour span. Mm-hmm. The man knows how to get some bird in a fryer.
I wish he would just walk through that door right now. Like
he would be great. We should call him.
This is your life.
Put him on speakerphone. This is your life.
So the backstory, which is not necessarily for this series, is that we filmed a Wisconsin Foodie at the Tandem early days. and Meech was the chef, and he brought out, or was the cook, and he brought out the chicken. And it was delicious, and I was fairly effusive on camera about how good it was. All honest, and it completely went to his head.
And he lost all track of reality.
Caitlin called me, and she was like, you created a monster.
He would come out to the dining room and like shake hands, like check on people, like, everything good here? Great, glad you're loving that chicken, buddy.
Right.
Just out of bounds.
Like suddenly working the dining room.
Working the dining room.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's in back? And you know, like, he's a charming guy, so judges and politicians would come in and they'd be like, is Meech in the back?
Yeah.
And it just kept getting worse and worse.
He was the dude.
Okay, so once in this fast forward version.
Yeah.
This is, how fast do you think you can move?
Pretty fast.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, how fast do you think I can move?
So you gotta get that in there.
Yeah.
And then right back in there. So get them all in, boom, 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 shake them off though. Now it's like you're working the line on a Friday night. I love it. I love it. You feel alive.
I feel alive.
Okay. Get them back in. Oh, stop. Hold on. So stop. Put it back. We gotta dial back. See how you can see all that flour? It's not gonna stick. So it's gotta be wet all the way through. Which is why I showed how to do it one at a time.
All the way wet.
Yep.
Look, it's not all the way wet. That's crazy.
I know.
There, now it is.
There you go. Dump it in. Use your hand to do that one. Quick. Do. And then tuck it off to the side.
Like out of the bowl or off to the side?
You can stay in the bowl, but like. This is
major.
Look, if this bowl wrap thing doesn't pan out, you could work at the restaurant. Too many bowl
I believe in
wraps.
contingencies during the pandemic, so I'm going to call you anyway.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good idea to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
You could open a rival chicken shack.
I have 4 backup plans. You would be my 5th.
Okay. That, I'm a little offended, but it's fine. I didn't know I was even a contender, so it's an honor to be nominated.
The rival, so if I open up a rival chicken place, that would be the story of the best, most legendary barbecue place in the city, Speed Queen. It was opened, not down the street from you, basically, not far. It was opened as a rival to the barbecue place in the city called the Black King. And Betty Gillespie opened up the Speed Queen because she's like, I'm not going to beat him on price or flavor, but I can beat him on speed.
No.
Yeah. It's true. Anyway, can I put him in? That's the truth.
We got to make some room. Because now at this point, here, let me grab. This is where, look, we talked about this.
But I was so deft. You didn't even see how I finished that up.
I knew you were done. I could tell, I could sense you were ready for this. You can put it on top of one of these. So we're going to put it in that left basket there. Love it. That's a breast in there.
That's a breast.
Check this out. Flip that guy and take a look. There we go. Catch that a little bit. We're going to throw that thigh in here. Chicken aerobics.
Guess why?
Why?
Chicken pie.
Guess who? Chicken poo.
Guess what?
Chicken butt.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
You have worked with kids. Clearly a school principal.
I love the jokes. How much time? I'm really not good at, we have timers everywhere.
Right now we got about 2 minutes left on that first drumming.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
In round numbers. So.
That wing will be done with it at the same time.
Yeah, because it's 8 minutes.
And then we'll remove those, add this. That's also where Meech got his big head, is chicken math. Chicken math is tough. I mean, if you're cooking 6 chickens at once and they all end up looking the same at some point and they all came in at a different time, and you had to drop them at different times, all of a sudden you're just repeating numbers in your head like 6, 5, 3 and then flipping them.
That's like a beautiful mind level of chicken math, though.
That's where I got the big head.
Yeah.
We're going to use towels. I'm an animal. Oh, these do have little basket holders, or no? Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Of course they do.
We'll put it on a plate then, because I think
it's
someone brought us plates so that
fryer.
A bowl wrap.
How's that cornbread looking?
Not right, but that's okay.
Needs to have the golden brown thing going.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of, for TV magic, jack it up a little. Everybody cool with that?
How long after the pandemic should we get to the other side, right? Next winter, we got a vaccine. Let's say, God willing, people are coming back to campuses. They're coming back to restaurants. They're coming back to schools. They're coming back to grocery stores and shopping malls and everything.
Next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
What does the tandem do then?
We start providing a living wage and charging what food actually should cost to patrons, offering a discounted version of that for folks who live in our neighborhood who might not otherwise be able to afford it. And we go from being your first step on a long path to being your first real career job, something you can sustain a family on, paid sick leave, paid vacation time.
Wow.
We make sure, in restaurants we call each other family all the time. But when the pandemic hit, my most loyal employee at the time is a man in his 40s who works full time, never misses a shift, and he's a dishwasher because he has some limitations as far as like what his skill set is. And it's all family, right? It's all love. And when the pandemic hit, he got to keep his job, 1 out of 20 people, because he didn't have any money because I had been paying him full time at $10 an hour, but his checks were $300 every 2 weeks. It's a man who's 40 years old, who I call family, who I would allow to make $150 to $200 a week. That's not family. I don't care what we think we need in the world that we live in the country that we're in. You have to have something that can support somebody. And so I don't ever want to feel that way again. I don't ever want to recognize that again. And instead, I think it's important we learn how to show equitable careers for unskilled young Black workers. We have plenty of, people of color moving up in executive positions in different fields. In the nonprofit world, especially in Milwaukee, you've got folks who are really coming up all over the place. But as far as like somebody who didn't graduate high school goes, there is not shit for someone to do besides work at McDonald's. And you could be 40 years old. You could have a family. I'll get off my soapbox.
That's what you're going to do.
That's what we're going to do. And I'll hate my job in a whole different way. All right. Round 1.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that nice?
That's
you
a
did
beautiful
that.
brown, crispy.
You did that, Kyle.
I think the oil did that.
I know. It's fresh oil. Also, that is something that's worth noting. You can reuse chicken grease, like frying grease, forever, so long as that you continue to filter it. There is something wonderful about oil that has been used once or twice before.
It's the liquid cast iron pan of the cooking world.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
there is something really sad about oil that has been used way too many times.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that the more you do this because
Yeah.
everyone's opening a rival chicken shack in a greater Milwaukee metro area. But yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put these on your plate. I think, is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Is plating an acceptable thing to do right now?
I'm just keeping my hands,
Yeah, keep
ready
'em-
here to drop in
Keep
the
them
next
gooey,
pieces of chicken.
keep them messy. Look at how beautiful that is.
That's
You did
gorgeous.
that. And see, imagine if we hadn't put that little bit of paprika, that cayenne in there, you wouldn't even have that much color. Okay, you're gonna drop them into the
Yeah,
fry bowl?
all
Let's do
day.
this. Do it
Yeah.
live. I think you can do 3.
Really?
Diversify your piece size. Oh, we got all the wings in there.
Yeah.
This is gonna be tough.
This is going to be tough. Because there's 4, I don't think so.
Do it.
You really?
I want you to do it.
Okay.
It's amazing
I
what
left
a
home-
shaken fryer basket
I left
will
home
do.
and I am going big. Leave home, go big. Yeah,
Big or
Yeah.
go home. Okay, I have to tell you something really important.
Okay.
If you make cornbread,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how tempted you are in this moment to eat this delectable hot cornbread,
Yes.
you will ruin it all.
Really?
You gotta let it cool enough. It doesn't have to be cold, but like on those nights where I have a 10-year-old making cornbread on the fly while we're cooking for a dining room full of people, and then we're hacking into a hot cornbread at the end of the night, we have to throw that away.
Ooh.
Just really leaches that moisture. I mean, we usually make it through the vast majority of the pan, or we use it for dressing.
Yeah.
But it cannot be used as cornbread any longer. That exposure, the moisture is like in here being all good and awesome, and then it'll just like go someplace else.
So brownies, warm.
Yes.
Cornbread. Cold.
You can serve it warm, but you gotta cut it cool.
So let it rest.
Let it rest.
Treat it like a good piece of meat.
Like a good piece of meat.
Got it.
That's exactly right.
Okay. These pieces of meat are done. Just the thigh. Just the thigh.
This guy.
Yeah.
This is a breast.
That's not done.
This is a breast.
Oh, then those aren't done. Sorry, my mistake.
This is also gets us. That night that Meats walked out was because I challenged him on
chicken math?
On his chicken math. He's like, this is done. I was like, there's no way that's done. He's like, it's done. I was like, there's no way that's done. Maybe that
I'm
was
just
another
glad
fight.
I was there to witness it.
I know. I think that was actually a different fight because one time I actually walked out. It was like 7 months into being open, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. for the massive amount of time. And then I just finally lost it. And we got into it about chicken. I was like, I don't care. And I left, which was not good example setting.
No.
But I had to. I literally was just...
You were flooded.
It's like hour 88 in the kitchen.
Yeah.
We had served raw chicken 3 days prior. And I just wasn't having it, so I left.
Where'd you go?
Home.
Wow.
Took a bath. Felt great. No one cares.
Here's something I've noticed about chefs that I think is funny.
Yep.
So you all put the aluminum foil on really neatly, tight, crisp. When you open it, nobody opens it and retain. They just tear it like a raccoon.
It's over.
With a packet of Ritz
It is
crackers.
done what it needed to do.
Yeah. Every chef.
And now it's about time. The worst is when it would never be the chef or the owner who does this, but when someone goes in to get something through a foil and leaves it. I've gone down to our walk-in before where someone needed pickles for a sandwich in the middle of a rush, and so a nicely really saran wrapped thing, and it just had a punch hole in the middle. Someone had punched through, grabbed some pickles, and ran upstairs in a fury. That also happened at Bavette once. The beer and the wine used to be in the same cooler as everything else, and a server had gone in a craze.
Yeah.
And punched a hole in the side of a beer thing and
As an ex-server, I understand those moments. You're like, I just need one grenade.
I just need
that's all I need.
That's all I need.
And then everyone's safe.
That's all we need.
Yeah.
I think this will look cute.
I think it's going to look good.
I never slice my yams like this, but I really am feeling it. I think it looks right. Gives them kind of more points of contact for the goo. And yams really are just like having dessert in the middle of your meal.
They are.
Okay.
Because what we were missing was a sugar element from this meal.
We were. There is no sugar element. They just have some sugar to them. I'm going to give you a full 3-piece, Kyle, because
right on.
I gained the COVID-19 and I need to watch how much more stuff I put into my body, which is inconvenient when you're a Southern food cook and aficionado. What is an aficionado? I know what it is, but what would you call it in literal terms?
An aficionado?
Yeah.
I'm a fried chicken and chocolate chip cookie aficionado.
Got it.
I spent way more time than
most
people. It means more to me than it probably should.
Yep.
And I take it incredibly seriously.
All right. We're getting close.
We're getting close.
All right, here's what's happening. I'm going to be really honest with you, feeling this.
Isn't it beautiful?
Well, because look, I'm about to slice and then it's got a lot of options. You're seeing all the pot liquor goo out of the greens.
That's okay.
Awesome.
That's the good
the
thing.
goal. That's the joy. We're going to throw the cornbread right on top of that. And then how big of a cornbread slice are you? And are you a middle guy or a side guy?
I'm a side guy.
A side guy?
Crust. It's always the crispy crust.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's very stressful to me. I am definitely a middle guy. Ooh.
That's stressful to me right there.
That was stressful to all of us. But I'm actually gonna I'm gonna do something crazy.
You're cutting a middle. This is, you know what?
There are other people here and they will eat it, but for the sake of my
I am
plating.
never doing a jigsaw puzzle with you.
Please don't.
Oh, I have a 3-piece, yeah. Wow.
Trying to get it in there that'll soak up your
Look
greens.
at how beautiful that is.
I'm not really sure how to access my piece at this point. Look at, it's chaos. I'll take a side piece.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna convert you.
Kind of put it on there. It'll help soak things up, keep your chicken safe.
Yeah. Beautiful. Those are done.
The last one.
At this point, they gotta be.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I take too long. Slow food, isn't that hot?
Boom. So this is a classic 3-piece with a side at the tandem.
It really is, yeah. These are actually, if this is the sides for the night, and we always pick them out, you've hit a pretty good night. If we hit you with the coleslaw and something,
that means you're busy in the kitchen.
It means we're really phoning it in. We have a lot going on. We didn't really want to have to think about
You have
heating
just
anything up.
changed my tandem dining experience across the last 3.5 years.
If you see coleslaw, some part of us has given up.
Before we dive in, thank you for delivering wonderful chicken to the city that I happen to live in and the greater world. But thanks for feeding the world, or at least our community, through this darkness.
I'm just trying to be the nicest person I can.
Here.
I was raised Catholic and with a lot of guilt.
Cheers.
Cheers.